My name is Jason White, and I am the Community Engagement Officer at the Civic Barnsley. And with me, I have the artist Caroline Cardus, and she is working with us at the moment on a project, part of Here and Now, in which art venues work with members of the public to create a new artwork. And we are going to be creating a new artwork in Barnsley, in Mandela Gardens, which is based around the concept of accessibility, barriers that people may face in their town centres, and road signs. So I am going to open up my share screen and show some of these. And Caroline might be able to introduce the project to you and talk you through some of these road signs.
Right, thanks, Jason. Thank you. Well, originally in between 2003 and 2004, I worked with groups of disabled people in Milton Keynes to make, I think we originally made 26 road signs. So those are the signs that you can see here at the moment. And this exhibition actually opened on the day that new Disability Discrimination Act legislation came into force. And what I was asking people who made the signs is, what do you want people to know about access? So I used the road sign format because it's just a very easy format. You have instruction signs, you have warning signs, which are the triangles. The danger signs are information, the danger signs are to, tell somebody not to do something. And so we use different sign formats, instructions, warnings, danger, information, to give people some direction about what access people wanted them to know about. So we have got on the screen at the moment, there is a sign, it's a red circle, and it says may contain hidden disabilities, and there's lots of people in the circle. And that was made by a gentleman who wanted people to know that not all disabilities are visible. And so he gave it, he used a warning, he used a red circle as a danger sign, because he wanted people to be alert to the fact that not everybody's disability is a visible one. So we've got various signs there. There's one sign on the far left. It's a red triangle, which is a warning sign. And there's a little image that is actually a wheelchair user chained to a bus. And that was made by a prominent disability rights campaigner, Barbara Lizicki. And the plate underneath it reads "Stroppy Crips Ahead." And Barbara organised a lot of disability rights protests in the 80s, and she really wanted people to understand that disabled people were not passive, and they deserved to go out and have interesting, useful lives, and they needed to be able to get on the bus. And so with her sign, as a lot of the circular and triangular signs, you will see underneath there is a plate that's got some text in it. So you can do an image, and then if you want to say something where there's a little plate, you can put text in it underneath.
So I'm going to close this screen and show this. So we have three groups taking part in this project. Some of them are very active in creating their own artwork. Some of them are very active in voicing their opinions about the needs or the barriers that disabled people in Barnsley or South Yorkshire face on a daily basis. So some of you may have thought about the kind of things that you would want to write or draw onto a sign before. Some of you may not have, or you may think you not have. So what we've got is 4 sides to this, and you'll all have a copy. And I'm going to use this camera now so you can see it. So this is the front cover. Make your own sign. And so we have the round sign here with the red circle. And what does that one signify, Caroline?
So it's you want to tell people not to do something. So if you want to give somebody a warning, then you would use a red circle.
And then on the next page, we have the blue sign, blue circular sign. And that one is?
And that's positive instruction. So if you want people to do something, whether you want them to, I don't know, hold the door open for you or show you respect in some way, then you would use a blue circle.
Okay. And then the next page is a much larger square blue sign.
So this is a rectangle, the kind of thing that you see on motorways, and it's to give information or instructions. So maybe you don't want to specifically tell people to do a specific thing, but maybe you want to give them an idea about a direction they might want to go in.
Okay. And then I'm going to turn on to the back page and I'm going to leave it there. This is the red triangle. And that one would signify what it says there. Triangles gives warnings, warn someone about something. I should just point out that when you do fold out this, you do find a poster on the inside with lots of examples of road signs that have been produced in the project before, right? And a bit of information about the project past and what we aim to do with it over the next few months as well. So I'm going to leave this on this page here because I just wanted to show you what you could potentially do with this sign. Well, I'm using just like children's black felt tip, but you can use absolutely any pen that you have in the house or pencil. And to be honest, even if you don't have access to pens or pencils, you could talk to someone over at Artworks or Anthony, who's working with us at Cloverleaf Wednesday's Voice and My Barnsley too, and you can voice your ideas to him and he can share those with us, and that's valid as well. And so I'm not disabled in any way, but my son is, he has a learning disability, he's autistic. And one of the problems that he has is unexpected noise. And he usually finds that in certain types of buildings, usually these buildings that are like big tin sheds, basically. You often find them in new build shopping areas or I don't know, the noise seems to reverberate a lot more. And we find that when we get in these buildings, he usually has to wear his ear defenders, but we don't know until we get there. So we usually have to carry them with us just in case. And so when I was thinking about this, now you'll be able to tell me, maybe be able to tell me a little bit more about this, Caroline, but the kind of images that you see on road signs, they often, for me, when I think of the people on them, they tend to resemble like stickmen.
Yeah, very much, yes.
So
yes, the drawing doesn't have.
You don't need to be able to draw stickmen.
No, you don't need to be able to draw. Just leave all that to me. Stickmen are absolutely fine. That's what we see on road signs anyway. So it's as long as you get the idea down, it doesn't matter what the drawing looks like.
So I was thinking about putting the ear defenders on there.
Okay.
I was thinking about that idea of going like this, which he often does if he doesn't have them on. So I was thinking of some way of getting the like that, and then showing the noise in some way. I'm not sure how to do that, but you think about sometimes you see the pictures of loud hailers and the noise coming out of them. Then I was trying to think of the text to put down here. I was thinking of something like unexpected noise ahead or unexpected noise in this area. Kind of depends on what might fit.
I think that's really fine because road signs are very general. They don't go into, you know, there's a noise and it's gonna upset me or whatever. It's quite impersonal, the road sign. So when you write the text, it is good to use something that is just strong and simple. Just think of the most simple way to say it possible, and that normally works on a road sign. But if you can't, it's fine, because that's where my job comes in.
Yeah. So with something like this image here, even though I've personalised it by putting the ear defenders on to signify that that's what I'm thinking about when I think about my son, you don't have to put the ear defenders on there. You don't even have to put the person on there. You could think about the noise. What does the noise look like? You know, it's
well, I think it's good to have the person on there, actually, because there does need to be a reason that the noise is uncomfortable and upsetting. And so there does, you know, we are doing this from the perspective of disabled people. So there needs to be some reference to the person and ear defenders. And so if I were going to go on to design this now, I would probably look up what the ear defenders look like. And I might look also at people's body language. So, you know, what you've done there, Jason, is really good, because that's the kind of instinctive thing people do when the noise is too much. So there's kind of essential elements in there, and that's showing a person in distress. It's showing that the sound is affecting their ears. And then what you've written underneath is very simple about, you know, warning the noise and so on. And I think what's important is that what I have found is that lots and lots of people in the disabled community would instinctively understand that at a much deeper level than an able-bodied person would, or an able-bodied person who didn't have experience of knowing somebody who is sensitive to noise. And so one of the reasons that I think the Way Ahead has carried on the way it has, and the idea works the way it does, is that there is a kind of subculture experience in that people understand far more about access when they've had to, you know, anticipate their own access or access for other people. So, so I think that could be a contender, Jason, I think.
lovely. Well, I prefer to make room for someone else, but Anthony did contact me before this with a couple of things that people in his groups have voiced previously, such as be aware hate crime in operation in this area. Another one was shared pavement ahead, and then in brackets, pedestrians, bikes, skateboards. And someone had mentioned A-boards, advertising A-boards placed in the middle of pavements. And I imagine that they're quite common ones.
Yes, we do have a sign which is Trip City Roundabout, and it's a big blue rectangle, and you've got somebody at the bottom using a cane, and then there's all the trip hazards at the roundabout. So in one there is some rubbish bins. I'm not sure if it's on this one, actually. It might be one of the examples we've given. It's not, unfortunately. But I think probably because it had a lot of detail in, so I didn't put it on the poster. But the person is walking around a roundabout, and there is a wheelie bin, and then there's a dog doing a poo, and then there is a bollard, and there's an A-board. So that was actually made collectively by a group of people. So they all had ideas about this because they were a group of visually impaired people, but they all worked collectively, and they all kind of chimed in and said, well, I hate this and I hate that, you know, and I trod in dog poo and I fell over a bin. And they ended up making a sign all together with all their suggestions. So that might work for the groups as well. Maybe somebody has an idea and then they're not quite sure about it. It's at this point, it's quite interesting to talk to people around you. You know, maybe your family members as well, or, you know, people in your house might have ideas. And the more you talk about ideas, I find the more they get developed.
I think as well, humour plays a big part in these. And I should say that you can be as honest, as angry, or as funny as you want. There's one here, which is, you know, this obviously got black humor behind it, but it's deadly serious. It says, please be aware blind pedestrians cannot see your rude hand gestures. you know, and that similar humour runs throughout the whole project, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much, very much. There is one that is on the poster, which is the picture of somebody's brain, and there's arrows going in and arrows going out. And that was made by a lady called Claudette Brooker. And I met her when I went to a headway group for people with head injuries. And Claudette's message was really simple. She said, sometimes if people know that I have a head injury, they talk to me like I'm stupid, and that's not okay. And she was very, very sharp, and she said she would say to people, they looked at my brain, they didn't take it out. So these kind of things, that these sayings that disabled people have, label jars, not people, was another one that came from a learning disability group. All the kind of things that you say to each other on a daily basis to explain your access or talk about how frustrated you're feeling, these are all potential areas where you might find an idea.
I just wanted to ask if there's a particular sign in the project that was made by yourself based on your own experience.
Yes. So I made a sign called Equality. It's a motorway sign, and it said, Man on the Moon 1969, full access to public transport 2020. Well, we kind of know that hasn't happened. At the time, my impairment means that sometimes I need a wheelchair, sometimes not. At the time, I was using a wheelchair and needing to use public transport. And it did used to bug me how we could send a rocket to the moon, and time again, the deadline for accessible buses and level access trains just kind of slips away, so that it would be so difficult for me as a wheelchair user to go from my house to the shops. But, at the same time, people will be talking about the space program, and it irked me. So that's why I made that sign.
Well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, Caroline. Hopefully, we'll be in a position later in the year where you could talk to some of the groups in more normal circumstances, either on Zoom or maybe even in person once the artwork's installed later in the year. This will be uploaded to YouTube and shared in the groups, different private Facebook groups, and it will be sent to people so they can view it on their phone at home if they aren't on social media. And hopefully it will give you a few hints and prompts about what you can produce in this project and how you can visualize your own ideas on this worksheet. And if you have any questions, please direct them to Emma at Artworks or Anthony Carr. And if you have anything to ask me, or Caroline, feel free to feed it through them to us and we'll answer what we can. Thank you.
Thank you.